Welcome to Curious Sports Pulse. This is Provide the Spark, and I am joined, of course, by Mr. Joe, who provides the spark every day. Joe, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
I This is something that now intrigues me. It's very rare where I'm just totally caught off guard, Joe. But and I don't know how much you saw this, but what are the Bills doing in citing Gabe Steveson? Not really a football pedigree, not really a football resume, background in wrestling, Olympic wrestling. That's he went that route in his athletics career. I mean, what are the Bills doing? Is this a good signing? Do we like it? Do we love it? What do you think, Joe?
Me personally, obviously, he's an outstanding athlete. Uh, Definitely a big wrestling pedigree. He actually just recently got off a stint with WWE. That underwhelming. I think what lacked there, the athletic ability was there, but the kind of I guess the charisma, the character needed to have a sustained career there. Maybe wasn't at the level of his athleticism. So I think that's what maybe um, worked to his detriment there. And so I guess he saw this as a an opportunity to challenge himself athletically. Unfortunately, at the timing of his release from WWE, he wasn't able to compete in the trials, I believe, which made it so that he actually couldn't compete in Paris. Um, as far as the wrestling goes, so that was a little bit unfortunate as far as the timing was. So I guess he saw this as an opportunity to go ahead and challenge himself athletically and see what he can do there. I do know that Coach McDermott has a high school wrestling background himself, which I think was the kind of the impetus as to why they're trying him out, specifically where they're trying him out, which I believe is the line.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of like where we are there as far as reasoning, whatever the case may be. Um, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Don't they have like this program where with in terms of like where they get like rugby players or like some kind of like international like situation where they kind of like get athletes from different sports, maybe different countries, and try them out and see if their skills translate. I believe they have something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
It's a little different. You're referring to the international pathway that they
Oh, right,
have.
right, right.
Like those are specifically football players in other countries, though. Not so a
Hmm.
little
Okay.
different, a little different. But either way, I hear what you're saying. The point kind of stands. You'll hear my pushback momentarily, but go ahead and finish your thought.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that was really it. I mean, there's a kind of a if you're an athlete, you're an athlete, and I guess these are good tests to see if certain skill sets translate.
All right, I gotta say, this is what's nice about having you on, Joe, is because I don't truly know about I don't follow the wrestling scene at all, so I had no idea about that. And whatever you want to say, correct me if I'm wrong here. Now it's your turn, but you still have to be a pretty high level athlete just to compete on that wrestling scene. No.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be obviously to your benefit to go ahead and have a pretty stout athletic background. It's equal parts choreography, equal parts uh, personality, character, but you definitely have to have the athleticism as well, which he had in in abundance, right? As a wrestler. So like I said, and Sean McDermott can speak to how that may translate more specifically, just because he does have a little bit of a wrestling background, and knowing that particular skill set will enable him to put Gable in the best possible chance to succeed. Also, I don't know what the contract is. I don't know the details of all that. Um, but it's also I would think it's a low cost, high reward situation, which the Buffalo Bills is in the market of. They're basically, with that cap hit they took with the Diggs trade, they're basically in, if it's free, it's for me mode. If they can get talent cheap with a low risk, high reward situation, they're in the position and in the need of taking advantage of such opportunities.
Yeah, yes, no, that is more than fair. And before Jordan went on to profoundly say "lol," and then he goes on to say, "Dude got people to cheer for Baron Corbin." Again, that's out of my wheelhouse, so you can tell me how significant that statement is from Jordan. And then he was penned as the next Kurt Angle, yet didn't develop. I'm assuming that's another wrestling thing. I gotta say, Jordan also has been on fire by attacking me on Twitter today, so that was fun. So this seems to be
Yeah,
more of just Jordan
both
being awesome. But yeah, what does this mean?
both wrestling references. However, Baron Corbin is actually a former Colt. He was teammates with Pat McAfee, and they did actually have a program together. I believe a couple of years back, where they got into a match with each other at a SummerSlam. So there's the football connection there with the wrestling. There's actually quite a few football players who've been successful in wrestling. The Rock played for um, uh, who else we got? Goldberg, University of Georgia product. Roman Reigns, one of the best ever. Also former football player. So there is a precedent of wrestling football crossover situation, and it working out from the standpoint of football to wrestling. It's going to be very interesting to see if wrestlers can become football players. Though.
I think that's the key, though, Joe. Ultimately, in all this, is that with all the respect in the world of wrestling, I think for sure the transition's easier that way versus the other way. Gable's never even he didn't play, from what I can tell, even middle school football. So this is his first time on an actual team for sure since high school. I couldn't find anything of where he played like Pee Wee, for example. It looks like he's been a wrestler his whole life. And does he have the athleticism? Does he have the body type? Does he have the drive? Yes. But D tackle in the AFC East, well, in the NFL, but in the AFC East, like that's a specialty position. And do you think that anyone is going to be able to plug and play? It, it'll be amazing if he makes the roster, to be quite honest. And then the international, I love how you brought up the international pathway program. Those are football. So those are other countries. They have football leagues and football programs, and that's more for players. Anyone is technically eligible, but those are more for players who didn't have the chance to go to college, but they've been playing football for a large part of their life. Maybe not their whole life, like here in the United States, but they are seasoned veterans in their respective domestic leagues. And so that's I would say be the main difference. So rooting for Gable, absolutely, you got this, bud. But I think we need to, and I'm not saying you at all, but for anyone who's like, oh, this is awesome, he's gonna make the team, he's gonna get 9.5 sacks. Let's have reasonable expectations. For right now, this is something of a celebrity signing. If it pans out, yes, fantastic. But let's tamper expectations. This could be close to a Tim Tebow type of signing than next Montel. But what does Jordan have to say about all this? God help us.
At best, he's probably going to make it to the 53 and get cut by week 3. Worst training camp cut, baby. Like this is literally like the Brock Lesnar to the Minnesota Vikings. Like at least Goldberg played for the Falcons and played managed, but at least he still made it to the team. Like Jesus Christ, this is a guy that had legitimately failed the WWE PC program. Like this is the guy that got Baron Corbin to be cheered. Baron Corbin's supposed to be the heel, the bad guy. Like this was a man that they legitimately thought the Fed, hey, this guy could be the next Kurt Angle. He has all the athleticism. He has the gold medal, just like Kurt. Even though Kurt was a legitimate lightning in a bolt, like generational talent that can make anything work. Gable Steveson couldn't even work a flashlight. Jesus Christ! And also and he is such a good person that you should Google Gable Steveson, Minnesota, where he had a good run-in with some cops and in the law. So good guy overall.
All right, so Jordan's out on this. Go ahead, Joe. I'll let you finish us up here.
I mean, I think we need to kind of like scale back on the wrestling criticism. I don't think it was a very this either from both of those like moves standpoint, lot easier to translate from Greco-Roman style or just mat wrestling to WWE.
Yeah. True.
Makes more sense than
true.
this does from the outside looking in.
Yeah. And I think they're putting him defensive tackle, which is very interesting to me. Like, I thought he would be at least a defensive end with that moveset, but
yeah, they're thinking D line in general. And it's not that huge of a stretch because all of the other crossovers played on the D line. Roman Reigns was D line, Rock was D line, Goldberg also D line. Exactly. So it's not a stretch, especially for those guys because they're bigger dudes as far as the wrestling landscape is. They have the bigger builds. At least the wrestlers we're talking about, Gabe in person. These are bigger guys. These aren't like your Rey Mysterio, luchador, 5 foot nothing, barefoot type dudes. Buck 65 soaking wet. We're talking about the bigger muscle bound dudes.
The big juicy men.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I understood what Joe was saying. I don't know if we needed Jordan's description.
He's like, yeah. I understand. He's like, I understood what Joe was saying, and it really now you've gone past the stop sign, so to speak.
There's no stop sign where I'm from.
You waved yourself home at third base.
In my mind, there is no stop sign.
Tune in to Jordan Unhinged. It will be on this platform, and I cannot wait. Speaking of unhinged, actually, this is not a good kidding aside. The Philadelphia Eagles. We all know how I generally feel about the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's because the quote-unquote grown-up in the room is Nick Sirianni. But I really like what Nolan Smith said and what John Ross said. So John Ross, he talked about, his struggle with retirement and how this is for his son and like how his son is serving as an inspiration for him. Really love that. Don't mind at all. Right. Normally, I don't like when a player flirts with retirement or goes in and out of retirement because once you're retired, it's so hard to get that mental edge back. But it seems like John Ross is someone who I think it seems like as of right now, like he's going to be able to navigate it. And again, doing it for all the right reasons. So shout out to John Ross. Love that. And then in terms of Nolan Smith, he's just saying he's willing to do whatever it takes. He doesn't care. He just wants to play football and he loves this team. So I love what those two people are saying. So let's speak first on them because let's be positive for a moment. God forbid. Let's be positive for a moment on this show. Anything to what either of those two gentlemen said? Go ahead, Jordan. You first.
John Ross literally was one of the faster people in the combine, but never really developed in the Bengals system. Like I personally do think the Bengals did not like it's a mixture of him like his youth and the Bengals themselves being legitimately trash when they drafted him. They moved to the Giants. He just never really panned out. And but again, I'm hoping he could at least make a comeback. Like even though he's probably might be like a special teams returner, like I just hope it pans out for him. Like I just hope it works out. And Nolan Smith, like I think it's mostly just like he's around a lot of the Georgia Bulldogs. Like he just wants to play football. He doesn't want the drama to distract him. Like that's how I feel when I listen to those statements, because like they want to focus on the season, want to focus on OTA, they want to focus on this upcoming season and play well for this Philadelphia Eagles team. Even though I think it has a lot of flaws, they just wanted to work out. Like focus on the season, which I appreciate and love.
Yeah, as individual players, I'm personally rooting for them. So shout out to them. Go ahead, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, on my Madden team, when I took over the Giants, John Ross was the best wide receiver of all time. Okay, that man had 1,590 and double-digit touchdowns every season. I also traded for a competent quarterback too. So in this fantasy world that I live in, I have massive respects for John Ross.
Mm-hmm.
As far as why he hasn't been successful, the comeback, all that kind of jazz. This right here is another one of those moves that's low risk, high reward potential. I can't imagine that they spent a whole lot of money to get him on board. I know that they cleared at least some getting Reddick out and future money down the line, not having to pay the rest of that. But as far as his role is concerned here, he doesn't have to worry about being the guy. He was drafted high in Cincinnati. They expected him to be a dude. With the Giants, it was same situation, probably low cost, high reward type situation, but also quarterback play, right? So can we completely blame him there? Probably not. So I believe there's a little bit of an injury history. I think with the Bengals more so. So that was another thing. Him staying on the field, him being available. So maybe the third time's the charm here. He had some time to get away from the game, kind of like step back from it, look at things with a little bit of perspective. Things that he learned in his time with the Bengals and his time with the Giants to kind of like reshape his mindset, get his physical and mentals right before proceeding with this opportunity. And I think in this particular role where he doesn't have to be a dude, he can probably carve out a role for him here. Speed kills in this league. And, you see people doing their best to acquire more speed if they can, whether that's at cost or on the cheap. They're trying to get speed in their skill positions because they want the ability to take the top off of the defense. So, I see this as a situation where I can honestly say he probably doesn't have a lot of tread on his wheels either, right? So not a whole lot of contact damage to his body. He can go into this offseason with kind of like clear eyes and a clean slate, and maybe carve out a role at third, fourth spot. You guys will have to remind me of the roster situation, but I believe they got rid of some. I don't believe Quez Watkins isn't there anymore, is he?
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna double check for you, Joe, because I think Quez Watkins was cut.
Yeah, I don't think Quez is there anymore. Which they had a little friendly banter on the sideline as to who was fastest between him, AJ Brown. So I'm sure he was there to be a burner. That's an opportunity there where he can maybe fulfill that role. I think there's a place for him in this league. And I think he could take advantage of that opportunity. As for Nolan Smith is concerned, it's a mystery as to how he didn't even get on the field in his first season. That's one thing. What I will also say, with the mess that was their defensive situation, honestly,
Matt
it might
Patricia.
it might have been a blessing in disguise that he wasn't even on the field. That he doesn't have to
Yes.
unlearn any bad habits because he never had to get on the field to execute those bad habits. So I think he can also look into the season with a clean slate, and
Mhm.
and you know he's a draft pick, so he's got some sort of security that he's was
First
chosen.
round pick.
Yeah, so there's some
First
equity
round
there
pick.
that he still has because he hasn't even touched the field anyway. Yeah, I think they're both in a really good spot, to be honest with you. I don't really mind it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it is like he might be like the third man because it's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, John Watson, Britton Covey. And I think Britton might be the kick returner. And to add to, and Joe, to add to Nolan Smith thing, like it Gabe, what was your reaction to Matt Patricia being promoted to the Eagles defensive coordinator?
I said, "Oh, good, they're not going to win another game."
Exactly.
They almost didn't.
Exactly.
We say that jokingly, but they actually legitimately almost never won another game that season.
Exactly, and it's Vic Fangio. He'll find a way to put Nolan Smith in there. Like, it's an improved team. I still think there's some flaws, especially if defenders don't really get into that Fangio system up the quarters covers and such. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a big improvement for Philly.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to do this to the Eagles right now necessarily, but I guess we can.
The biggest problem, Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore. Personally, Kellen Moore, but yeah.
So here's my big issue right now with the Eagles is that they don't have an alignment of vision at all, in my opinion. Well, again, this is my opinion because right, I cannot get into the minds of coaches. But just from the outset of what I'm looking and based on past history and how all these people have conducted themselves, I don't see how this is going to possibly fit between Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore, and Vic Fangio. So Vic Fangio, no nonsense, old school, very serious guy, work hard in practice. Vic Fangio, God knows how he wakes up every day. And Jalen Hurts needs a strong run game to support him, regardless of how you view him as a passer. This is something we know. They bring in Saquon Barkley, and now we have Kellen Moore, which, let's be honest, he's closer to a West Coast / air raid guy than he is to running the triple option. So, and all of that, it almost doesn't matter, right? You can make a case of how they could still find a way to somehow navigate that, but it's still Nick Sirianni in charge. And this is the whole reason why I brought up Nolan Smith in the first place, as well as John Ross, because they are acting like adults in a situation that really needs more people to act like adults. So am I going overboard in terms of the coaching? Let's stick just with the coaches for now. Am I going overboard in terms of the coaching marriage that I see here in Philadelphia? I don't see it working out, and I don't see it aligning philosophically at all. Joe, what do you think?
Well, what I will say is that Kellen Moore can't be any worse than what the Steelers had last year, right? If we're talking about bottom, I'm making a comparison in terms of coaching.
Hang on, Jordan.
They can't be any worse than the coordinator situation they had last year with the Steelers. Now that was a situation where the defense was giving them chances to win, and the offense could not generate any points whatsoever. I feel like Kellen Moore's offense generates points. It's proven. We've seen the statistics. Is it conducive to winning when it counts? That's yet to be seen, right? But they're going to score, right? So if they're going to score, that should theoretically help the defense not get as exposed. And what they're going to need is time. They're going to need is time. And I say this because a lot of what I hear most times when it comes to Vic Fangio's defensive scheme, it usually takes a guy a while to get used to what he wants, what he's asking of you, where he wants you to be. So there may be a need for them to outscore their opponents. There may be a need to, like, the offense needs to lead until the defense can catch up to his system. So this is where I think it could work, because the offense is going to need a score, and Kellen Moore knows how to score points. Now, where I worry about it is when both of them are clicking, and they're going to need to lean more on the run game to probably just like establish some sort of balance and keep the defense off the field, not get 3 and outs and have the defense out there for like 75% of the game. That's where I get worried about the squad. Because Kellen Moore has never shown the inclination to be ball control. He wants to light it up. And that's where I don't feel like the marriage would work, is more long-term. In the interim, I think it works because it's going to take some time for the defense to get used to Vic's system. But in the long term, when everything's clicking on both sides, I think they're going to butt heads.
Joe, this is why I bring both you and Jordan, and in a moment here, you rock on, because that is something I honestly hadn't considered. Good stuff. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything Joe said, because like it really takes a while to get used to Fangio's defensive system. Like, you really need flexible secondary pieces. That's why they drafted Cooper DeJean, and I keep forgetting my goodness. Oh, Quinion Mitchell, because you need fast and flexible young secondary pieces and linebackers to at least try and stop those big explosive plays. But the offense to me is like, he's like like, we all know what Kellen Moore is. He's gonna try and get those big plays. You're gonna try and, like, try and throw the ball, like all that stuff. But then again, you look ahead of the snake, Nick Sirianni. He's gonna try to run the offense his own way. That's why I think they're gonna butt head more in Sirianni, because it's like, at least Moore uses motion from time to time, try and deceive the defense. Yeah. Sirianni is just a shotgun centric offense, which cost them games. Like, San Francisco literally laid out the foundation on how to beat this team. Like, Jesus, like, God. And that playoff game, they were mostly just running shotgun. I was like, what?
No, absolutely, Jordan.
Yeah, it's just yeah, and also like Sirianni is literally trying to talk all that stuff up. Oh yeah, we got the tush book. We better than that. And like,
that's a different tush pushing now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but yeah, I do think this team is going to be more improved. The coaching, I love the Fangio hire. The Kellen Moore hire, I'm still iffy on. I'm just going to wait until at least the preseason. Mm-hmm. And I'm still not a fan of Nick Sirianni. I still think he's a cocky SOB. Like to talk a lot of smack, but can't back it up.
And I'm predicting this right now. Vic Fangio and Nick Sirianni are going to have a personality clash multiple times throughout the season. I'm predicting this now. But moving on to basketball, as we welcome E-Rock to the stage here. So we have Brianna Stewart, and we have Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. They they are starting their own Unrivaled, which is the name of their 3v3 pro basketball women's basketball league. A lot of great things. My favorite thing, everything is of course being focused on the pay, and that it's the highest pay in women's sports history. I also like that they get equity in the ownership of it. But either way, just general, and this came out yesterday, so it's right. It's not a hot topic anymore, but I still think there's plenty to discuss on this. So, Erock, when you first heard the news, kind of what was your reaction to Unrivaled? And in general, it's going to be in January. Are you kind of looking forward to it? What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, I want to say, hey, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Just family things. And also, when are people going to learn about Kellen Moore and to stop hiring him? And on this topic, I am looking forward to it because just like, you know, the Caitlin Clark. Oh, dang! I'm having a brain fart. Someone help me, please. The special she has on ESPN along with two other ladies. God, sorry, I just had a brain fart.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's not full court press, is it?
Yeah, that's it. That was really cool, and I love the fact. And you guys know, I love promoting growth, especially in women's sports. And right now, that is the more they can be executive producing, is the more credibility it also brings to the entertainment world. Because the world, like right now, we are very much, by the way, as you should be, reliant on podcasts, which is a good thing. But podcasting has its place. But then there are things that give you a back inside look of, humanizing the players themselves. It gets a little bit more like, you get to put a personality to a face. And I think that is absent. Brianna Stewart is absolutely worth that time. She has a very compelling story. The same as, Angel Reese will probably, if she doesn't have one already, she's going to have one. I mean, it's going to continue. It's going to blossom, and it's going to be, okay, that may have been the wrong choice of words, but it's going to grow organically, which it already is. And eventually I could see this becoming where everything becomes more integrated, like All-Star Weekend becomes more integrated. Maybe they put WNBA not so close to where college women's basketball at some point isn't such a small turnaround because it is a little unfair. That's getting off, but that's getting into a whole nother can of worms. So yeah, I'm loving this. This is supporting growth at its best right here. So that's where I'm at. So I'm curious to see what y'all have in mind for this as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely didn't think we'd go down the route of the behind the scenes aspect of it, but that's important too. Love that. So shout out to you for bringing that up. But let's focus back in on the league itself, Unrivaled. Jordan, go ahead. What was your thought? No, you're fine. It was legitimate what you brought up, but yeah, back to the league itself, Unrivaled. Kind of, Jordan. What should we expect from this league?
Three on three. Like it's gonna be a fun league. It's gonna be a fun league. Something to get them busy in January. Like it's gonna help women's sports grow more and more and more. Like that's what you're hoping. That's what I'm hoping it could be. Like at the end, because at the end of the day, like women's sports is growing, and this is going to help them grow more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And like I love it. Like I hope it succeeds.
Do y'all remember when Ice Cube offered that money to Caitlin Clark? What was it, 500 G's?
Yeah.
I think it was. And now it looks like chump change compared. We all knew it was going to be, but now it looks like chump change. But mainly it will wind up being a negotiation tactic. But
yeah, I mean, shout out to him for trying to move the knee at least. But Joe,
I agree.
Joe, what did you I think what we get is we've seen from the big three, like the American public is going to give this a chance for sure. You get a season and a half. And if it's bad, then obviously there's going to be fall off. But is there potential of this being an actual good product for people to consume, where people will want to come back? And does this league actually stand a chance, in your opinion?
The irony in this is that as E-Rock brings up the Ice Cube and the Big Three, which is also a 3v3 format. It's funny that this is what's transpiring in this particular league. I love who's investing in this. I love that it's not just athletes, but also sports media in general. You got a John Skipper there and a David Levy, who are a couple of the key investors. I love that there's former NBA players supporting the league, as far as Carmelo Anthony, Steve Nash, Tyus and Trey Jones. That's a lot of basketball representation, media representation. I love all that behind it. I also love the fact that it is played on the off season of the W, because now it gives opportunity for people not to have to go to places like Russia or Lithuania or wherever else on the planet that they had to go make the money that they should be making in the W. It gives them an alternative to doing that, because apparently, as we found out not too long ago, sometimes you don't come back right away. So
gotta love those Russians.
With all that said, I think it's safety wise, love that for us. Love that it's an opportunity again to grow the women's game as a whole. And also, I do love the fact that the 30, that first 30 that participates does get the equity into the league, because that's something that someone on this panel wanted to see in the W, is more female representation in their ownership section. Just to let you know that I actually listen to the things that you say, even though half of them are wrong. I do agree that is a great way to go ahead and set that off, especially when all indications are it's going to be star talent that does that. And also, just as a side note, to parlay on the previous conversation on Ice Cube, I wonder if the reasoning behind maybe not pursuing a deal with Ice Cube is because this has been in the works.
That's a good point.
Because according to Brianna Stewart at the Pat McAfee show yesterday, she said this has been 2 years in the making.
Yeah, no, that's totally on the board. And I know personally I'm excited to watch this. So Jordan, Gable, again, tune into Jordan Unhinged coming to a YouTube space near you any day now. Let's move on to our final topic of the day before we go to Scoutcast Media Hub.
Yep.
This is something that intrigues me. And speaking of how we support growth here at Curious Sports Both, we support growth in all forms. But Kyrie Irving is doing a good job of starting to switch the narrative. Now, this is one season, and right, he has a couple of years, he has a couple of seasons of, let's just call it baggage for now. And whether you want to hold it against him still or not, that's really up to you. I'm not here for that discussion necessarily. But the matter of the fact is Damian Lillard was voted as the top 75 player of all time.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving right now, in my opinion, has higher stock in terms of everything that's going on. So is there something that Damian Lillard could learn? Because again, this isn't me. We can give our opinions on who you think is better. I don't care if that's the route you want to take on this. But for sure, Damian Lillard is a good player still. Is there something Damian Lillard could learn watching this Dallas Mavericks run, and how Kyrie in particular is developed into the role and player that he is at this moment? Jordan, your smile is either freaking me out or contagious, so go ahead.
Yes. The answer is yes.
If you want two things, demand a trade to Miami right now. it's either that, or just play better with Giannis. Like demand Jimmy Butler to Milwaukee right now. Like that's what those are the three things I'm thinking of from Damian Lillard to learn. Like it's either play better with Giannis, go to Miami, demand a trade to Miami right now. Tell Milwaukee's GM, hey, give me to Miami right now, or it's over. Or I will sit out the season. I will be a cancer to this team.
Yeah.
Or get me my boy Jimmy.
Yeah.
Will it fit? Will it make sense? No. But guess what? Get Jimmy in the Bucks.
Complete side note: outside of Jordan Unhinged, and you can follow him on Twitter as he bashes me openly. So that's always fun. You can follow him, JC Ramos.
I show you love, man. I show you love.
Jordan also gives out free dating advice, so tune in for that any day of the week. Go ahead, E-Rock.
I didn't know this was officially going. Is this going to be on Curious Sports Balls? Is this going to be on this?
I'm
this
speaking
channel?
it into existence. Yes.
Oh, you are. Oh, you're speaking into the ether. I got it. Oh my God, which is ironic because you'll feel like you just huffed ether when you listen to it.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call bullshit on that one because there ain't no way. Dame Lillard has never ever been the kind of player to say I will sit out a whole season. That's just what. If all the players in all the world, the one thing that Dame has the most over Kyrie is that he is an absolute team player. In all sense of the form, Kyrie is better. Not by a lot, because Dame is really awesome, but they're very similar players. But Kyrie is just a little bit more talented. And I don't have any. I think the Bucks are just fine. They just need to make some. They had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of, which is not anything new. They had a lot of tweaks. I don't think there's anything for him to learn. I think it's just one of those things that all the pieces fell together for the Mavs the right way. They have I think probably a better coach. Even though Doc has a championship and J Kidd does not. But at the same, technically J Kidd does, but it's as a player. But it's also just, I don't think you can really learn much, but the Bucks will be just fine. And I think Dame Lillard will be just fine. So, but Kyrie, nothing but love for him. We promote growth here, and he's doing it the right way. And I think Mark Cuban and Jason Kidd have been the two best things that could have, and Luka Doncic for that matter, been all the best things that could have happened to his situation. So, not really much to go with in there, but Dame going to be just fine. Dame going to do Dame. Jordan Unhinged, speak it to existence. That would be, oh Lord, I might have to put that on Scoutcast if someone's going to put him on their network if it happens, because that's happened. Someone's going to do it.
Go ahead, Joe.
The question is, what does he have to learn? How to play defense. That's where I'd start.
Yeah.
And Gabe said directly, what can he learn from this Dallas Mavericks run? The two stars on that team play defense. So if you're going to learn something, learn that. And as far as what Jordan said about the whole Miami thing, that's number one reason why he wouldn't go to Miami, because he will have to learn how to play defense if he goes to Miami. So that alone is going to be the detriment there. As far as where he currently is and what, that current team, I do agree to an extent that when you have the talent that they have on that team, it's going to win you more games than not, as long as they're healthy. So I think they ran into a lot of bad luck there as far as them both like being in and out of the lineup towards the end of the season, and then also during the postseason. I would be worried about Giannis's health in general, because this isn't his first postseason where he's ran into injury trouble. So that's a thing that's starting to happen now, and based on how he plays the game and how he's built, he came into the league very slender, and now he's bulked up to try to be able to bang down low. So that's I worry about his fragility moving forward now, because it's being a little too consistent during the postseason. Centered more towards Lillard, the discussion at hand. He's going to need to learn how to play individual defense. He needs to be not as dependent on the back end to cover up for mistakes that he makes on the front end. He needs to make a better effort on his end to do so. And I'd cite what Kyrie Irving is doing during these playoffs. I'd cite what Luka Doncic is doing during these playoffs. I'd even cite Donovan Mitchell, since he's gone to Cleveland and making improvements on his defense. Is it stellar defense? No, but I can definitely tell that the effort is there. And based on the Cavaliers statistics, more often than not, let's take out the second half of the season, more often than not, during this season, they've been better defensively, and Mitchell is a part of that. If he's not just olaying the people he's guarding, so that's where I think he could learn. That's where I think he can make a bigger impact on the game. The team won't be so focused on watching over what he's doing. They can actually focus on their individual matchups and not have to worry about who he's going to let into the paint. I think they'll be a little bit more cohesive defensively if they know that he's going to hold up his end.
No, absolutely. And to credit to what you just said, Joe, there's a report out that the Cavaliers want to keep the core four intact. They're not interested in making a big splash this offseason. They want to go with the same guys next year. And I think that's in large part the same reason as to what you just said, Joe. We got to get out of here. We're off to Scoutcast Media Hub after this. Go ahead. Let's go one by one. Let's go Mr. Joe, Erock, and then Mr. Jordan. So, Joe, where can we find you / any last thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. You can catch me at Java Joe Sports on the X. Give my opinions on there pretty frequently about all things sports. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's the W, NBA, NFL, NBA, everything in between, racing, hockey. And yeah, I mean, final thoughts. I mean, I love what's going on in sports right now. A lot of people will say this is we're approaching a dead period. But I feel like the summer is a good, especially with the Olympics coming up, it's going to be a very good summer sports-wise on all facets. So looking forward to that, and we'll catch you on Scoutcast.
See you later.
Go ahead, Erock.
Same thing. Can't wait to. Thanks for the limited time on here. At least I'm glad I can make it for some of it, and so I appreciate y'all having me on. It's always a pleasure. And Scoutcast Media, check it out. /the paint. There's a lot to get into, and we're excuse me, paint to paint. Excuse me,
paint to paint, man.
Paint to paint.
We ain't slashing, we painting over.
That's right. We're painting. We're painting. We're going paint to paint, not to be confused with art shows. We're not a Bob Ross show, although we support Bob Ross. All right, so we'll see you soon. Living at 09. Catch us in a bit, and thanks for everyone's support and Curious Sports Pulse 100.
Hell yeah. See you, Rock.
Yeah,
Jordan, Chad, Gable, Ramos. Go ahead.
No, Chad Gable over Gable Steveson. But yeah, you can catch me on Jason Ramos 6898 at Twitter, Instagram. J Ramos 67 at TikTok. Also, breaking news: Troy Weaver has been fired from the Pistons. So there's some progress. There's progress. even though it's a step through 1,000 steps, the Pistons have taken the right steps.
Every time I get out of bed and turn on one of our old podcasts and hear your voice, I feel like I made the right step in my life. So appreciate you coming out, Jordan.
No problem, man. No problem.
See you later.